My dear friends, I am Dr. Colonel Brahmajit Singh from Hyderabad. I am a medical oncologist, that is, I am a cancer doctor and I treat all types of cancers with chemotherapy and the latest treatment modalities such as targeted therapy and immunotherapy. Do you want to prevent and protect yourself from cancer? Do you want to know what causes cancer? What are the risk factors, the warning symptoms, and how you can prevent and protect yourself and your family from cancer? And if you are a cancer patient, would you like to know what, when, why, and how of cancer treatment? If you are interested, press the bell icon, subscribe, and stay connected. Continuing from part 1. To recollect, Angelina Jolie, the megastar of Hollywood, proclaimed one of the most beautiful women in the world, on her own free will, underwent surgery for complete removal of both her breasts at the age of 37 years, subsequently followed by removal of her ovaries and fallopian tubes. Why? Because she has a very strong family history of breast and ovarian cancer. The reason for such a strong family history that compelled her to take such a drastic step, because she and her family have the BRCA1, that is BRCA1 mutation. You must be thinking, what is this BRCA mutation and why are they so dangerous, and what are the actual implications of these mutations? I will explain everything to you in very plain and simple words. So first, the basics. The name BRCA is actually an abbreviation of breast cancer gene. There are two BRCA genes of interest, namely BRCA1 and BRCA2. These are two different genes that have been found to impact a person's chances of developing several cancers. Every human, that is you and me, have both the BRCA1 and BRCA2 genes. You remember what a gene is? Your DNA makes your genes, which is your biological signature. Okay? So despite what their names might suggest, BRCA genes do not cause breast cancer or any other cancer. In fact, these genes play a very important role in preventing cancer. Surprised? Well, they, like the guardians of the galaxy, are the guardians of the galaxy of the human genome. Visualize, as there are thousands and thousands of stars in the galaxy, similarly, there are thousands and thousands of genes in the human body. As the guardians of the galaxy protect the earth from enemies, similarly, these two genes protect us from developing cancer. Interesting, isn't it? How? Well, these two genes are responsible for producing proteins that help repair the damaged DNA, such as repair of DNA breaks, which would have otherwise caused a cell to have a mutation in their DNA. So, by repairing the DNA, they prevent any abnormality in the DNA which would have resulted in a mutation. If you remember, as I had told you in my earlier video, what is cancer and how does it develop? It is the mutations, my dear friend, in the cell which make it cancerous. So now you have understood that these two genes repair the damages in the DNA, therefore prevent mutation, therefore prevent the cell from becoming cancerous. And because of this crucial function, these guardians of the human genome, the BRCA genes, are also known as tumor suppressor genes in medical terminology. Now imagine if these genes themselves are damaged, that is mutated, that is our own body's DNA repairing ability is destroyed or limited depending on the type of mutation in these genes. What will happen? It would be like the guardians of the galaxy have their hands tied and every villain will emerge and try to destroy us. Similarly, in our body, all hell will break loose, and the biggest and the most notorious of all the enemies, cancer, yes my friend, will emerge. And this is exactly what happens when there is a mutation in BRCA1 and BRCA2 genes. Simple, hope you could correlate and get to know these two genes. Now you must be thinking, what are the implications? What are the effects of these genes? For the person who has the mutation, by now you know that because of these mutations there is an increased risk of cancers, and Angelina Jolie is a living example. What you also must understand that these genes are present in every human, that is in both women and men, as they are part of the guardians of our genome. Therefore, there will be implications of these mutations in both men and women. Now, in order to make it more simple, I will tell you about the effects and consequences of these mutations under three headings: women specific, men specific, and common implications for both men and women. My dear friends, once a Fauji, always a Fauji, and I have no option. Courtesy, ladies always first. So I am going to first tell you what are the implications of these mutations in women. Women with these deleterious mutations in either the BRCA1 or the BRCA2 genes have a high risk of developing breast and or ovarian cancer. Angelina Jolie and her family, live example. As different studies have been conducted all over the world, and these studies involved different women, different races, different populations, different geographical locations, and has different types of mutations within the same gene. There are more than 100 different types of mutations within the BRCA genes. Each have somewhat different risk. In order to simplify, the risk has therefore for a particular cancer is expressed as a risk range rather than a single number or percentage. Now, as far as breast cancer is concerned, about 13 to 15% of women in the general population will develop breast cancer sometime during their lives. These are Western figures. By contrast, 50 to 87% of women who inherit a harmful BRCA1 variant and 40 to 60% of women who inherit a harmful BRCA2 variant will develop breast cancer by 70 years of age. Further, these women also have an increased risk of developing cancer in the opposite, that is contralateral breast. And this risk of contralateral breast cancer increases with time, since the first breast cancer reaching 20 to 30% at 10 years and 40 to 50% at 20 years, depending on the gene involved. That is, both the breasts will develop cancer. So it means that if one lady develops a breast cancer in one of her breasts, she should not assume that her breast cancer chapter is over. She will develop breast cancer in the other breast also. And you will be further shocked to know women with a breast cancer associated with BRCA mutation have up to 40% probability of developing a new primary breast cancer within 10 years following initial diagnosis. That is, in simple words, the same breast, there will be more than one cancer, one after the other. This is really a very risky and dangerous mutation. Another thing you must know, these mutations not only skyrocket the risk of cancer, but that's not all. These mutations have an effect on the onset and aggressiveness of cancer. BRCA-related breast cancers appear at an earlier age than sporadic breast cancer. So young people, young ladies, young women are affected more, and BRCA-related breast cancer is more aggressive than normal breast cancer. BRCA1 is associated with triple negative breast cancer, which in fact is the worst of all breast cancers as it does not respond to hormonal treatments, and treatment with chemotherapy is essential, that is compulsory, and often appears about 2 decades earlier than normal. BRCA2 is associated primarily with postmenopausal breast cancer, although the risk of premenopausal breast cancer is also significant. And it is typically highly responsive to hormonal treatments because it is usually ER/PR positive. So my dear friends, now you would have understood why Angelina maintained removal of not one but both her breasts. It brought down her risk of breast cancer from 87% to less than 5%, but not 0%. The story, my dear friend, does not end here. You remember, Angelina also underwent surgical removal of her ovaries. Why? Also, what happens if a man has BRCA mutation? Do these mutations cause other cancers also? What will happen to the children of these men and women who are BRCA positive? We'll tell you all in the next part, part 3. See you then.